With the newest game in the series that came out last year, I thought it was a good time to really talk about this series and what I think of it personally. However, I did know about this series when I was a kid. In fact, my first glimpse of the series was with the anime adaptation of Star Force, back when Jetix had its own channel. Does anyone remember that? I guess it doesn't really matter. But like I said, around 2013 and 2014, I would actually get to play the games myself. The first of which was Mega Man ZX, I think it was. And then later on I would play Powered Up, the first two Mega Man games, Mega Man Legends, Mega Man X, Mega Man Battle Network. And while I did like X and Legends a little bit, the rest of it didn't really mesh well with me. However, revisiting these games again, to spoil it a little bit, they're actually not too bad. Well, for the most part, but I'll get to that later.
How I'm going to set this up is I'm going to split these videos into compilations of 3 games, with the technical exception of this video because there is one game I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to talk about that later on. Outside of that and another game later on, I'll be looking at these games on the Legacy collections. The first one on the PlayStation 4 because I got it on the Humble Bundle, and I'll do the second one on the Nintendo Switch later on. With that said, let's talk about the first Mega Man. Yeah, we'll get to you in a second. Mega Man was the brainchild of Akira Kitamura. Many people credit Keiji Inafune for the character design, but it was Kitamura that made the original sprites, so he basically kickstarted the classic series overall. However, his involvement in the series was short-lived as I think he stopped directing after the second game, with Inafune leading the other games afterward. The original name was Rockman, which was a really weird name all things considered, so we named him Mega Man. While it's a more generic name, it makes more sense in the terms of the game itself. Since this game was made in the 80s, the story is rather simple. Dr. Thomas Light and Dr. Albert Wiley were students at Robot University. Dr. Light invented robot AI that allows robots to think on their own, with industrial robots helping the people of Monsteropolis. Okay, sure. And he also made 2 helper robots, Rock and Roll, and that's only the start of the music references. All this made Wiley jealous, Light's inventions, not the music references, and decided, yep, I'm gonna be a dick and steal the robots. Take that, Thomas! Though I question why he only took 6 robots, and with that, why did he take robots that had certain weaknesses to one another? Rock pleased to Light to turn him into a fighter robot so he can help out and bring the robots back home. All that is mostly in the manual, as well as Mega Man 4's beginning cinematic, which I'll talk about then. But if you play this game with no knowledge, you'd probably think that it's about a little blue guy throwing lemons at random people in tech. Let's get to the game's mechanics actually, because I think that's where Mega Man starts to stand out from the crowd. I mean, in terms of mobility, there's not much. You can jump as well as shoot circular bullets at enemies, similar to a certain other franchise in mind. But unlike Metroid, you don't go through an overarching world. It's more level-based. Though instead of going from one level to another, you can actually choose from any of the available 6 levels, a design that stays with the series to this day. And by that, I mean the platformers. Battle Network doesn't do this, and neither does Star Force or Legends to my memory. But this leads to a lot of replay value when you go through any level in any order you want. I tend to go for Cutman first, not at all a hard stage outside of these buggers, and Cutman is just sad. It also has some nice music. Most people tend to go through the weakness order. Each Robot Master is weak to another Robot Master's weapon, which you actually absorb whenever you defeat them. That's another reason why I take out Cutman first. I love the Rolling Gutter. In this game, the weaknesses are actually very simple to figure out. Bombman is weak to Fireman, which is weak to Iceman, which is weak to Electman, which is weak to Cutman. You just gotta use a bit of logic and you're golden. They also drop like flies when you use their weaknesses, like poor Iceman. And Electman goes down in 2 seconds. Now you see why this weapon is freaking kick-ass. Shame the rest of the game isn't that easy. Yeah, when Mega Man is the topic of any conversation, one of the key points is usually how the game is trying to bust your kneecaps. While it's not as bad as many make it out to be, half of the stages aren't all that bad, but when you get to the stuff like Gutsman stage... Oh, so that's why he's called Rockman. Electman has these ladders that have electricity shooting towards them, and they are so tight to get past. And screw the asshole that thought these disappearing blocks was a good idea. And oh man, these things are a pain to go under and a pain to fight. The moments where they choose to do a short hop or a high jump feels completely random, and you get hit because I love the rewind feature. The Switch version of the Legacy Collection introduced the rewind feature, where if you make a mistake, you can press a button to rewind back to where you made it. However, you don't have a limit for it, or at least I don't think you do, because there were times where I went back about 15 to 20 seconds, where I felt a little more comfortable. And there were times where I made some fights just... Yeah, sorry Iceman, but I got shit to do. Just let me go through your ice arrows, please. Hey, you can call that cheating all you want, but with how ball-bustingly difficult this game can get, I seriously can't care less. Mega Man is also a tad slippery, making platforming a bit annoying, leading to me getting hit by enemies or down ledges. Another reason to hate these disappearing blocks. With your butter boots, falling off is more often than actually fighting the robots themselves. Ah! And the final cherry of this rather sour cake is the final levels. Yellow Devil, anyone? Oh, you son of a... You know, many people use the pause glitch only for this fight, but I'm not gonna lie, outside of this Mega Clone, which is kind of annoying, I use this for the other bosses as well. Because you use up these blocks before the boss is dead, and it's way too fast to damage, and it takes a ton of punishment. And Dr. Wily, while it's not a hard fight, it's still really annoying at times, so I just got impatient. Please forgive me, I'm a helpless old man. Okay.
Yep, that's it. He just lets him go. I don't get why he does, but he does.
Okay, so outside of that ending, I was surprised at how much fun I had in this one. Maybe the rewind feature helped with that, but thanks to that and the fact that it's rather short, beaten in less than an hour if you know what you're doing, I think it's worth the time, especially nowadays. But hold on there, we aren't completely done with Mega Man 1, as we have the PSP remake in 2006 titled Mega Man Powered Up. Okay, that's kind of adorable. The game functionally isn't all that different from the original. I mean, Mega Man isn't slippery and he doesn't drop like a rock, though that isn't really important. Not to say it's a bad thing, like I said, the original is a rather good game, and the remake is practically the same with 3D chibi graphics, remixed music, and added 2 new Robot Masters in the form of Time Man and... Oh, that's just uncomfortable. Did you know that Archie Comics added a bandana to Oil Man to tone down the racial portrayal? I like that design, actually. It fits into his industrial desert motif in the actual game. Though outside of the design, I really like this character. He's kind of like a fast-talking oil salesman. It's kind of cool. You can also play as an enhanced Mega Man with the Charge Shot and Slide, abilities he gains later in the series. You can play as the other Robot Masters when you beat them with your normal weapon, and they're not as versatile as Mega Man, but they're really cool to play as. And if you play as one of the Robot Masters and pick their respective stage, you actually get to fight Mega Man. You know he's evil because he has a scarf. You can play as Proto Man, a character I'll talk about later, but he's basically easy mode with an automatic charge shot and shield. And you can also download Roll with all of her adorable little costumes. Sadly, you can't download Roll anymore as far as I know, so you might want to find a save file online if you ever want to smack a giant robot with a broom. Annoying as it actually is, it's so freaking cute. The game also has voice acting, which is pretty hit and miss. The misses mostly come from Dr. Light himself.
Just as I promised, Dr. Light, I'll be taking them with me.
Stop, Dr. Wily, stop, I said. Wait, stop, Dr. Wily. Insanity, using my robots to conquer the world.
And this will not be the end. Well, technically it is, since this game came out in 2006, and the next game in the series that actually did have voice acting, it was actually pretty good, but that's a story for another time. But yeah, nothing big, but it is the definitive version of the original game. However, it still isn't worth the money to grab for one reason, and one reason only. The PSP. Hey, the PSP was a great system, but not only was it not a realistic way to sell a remake considering the system was not really getting an audience, just look at the sales figures compared to the Nintendo DS. But outside of that, no one has a PSP anymore, or at the very least hasn't used it in years. The Legacy Collection is also the most relevant, so you're best buying that over Powered Up. Hey, if they re-release this game on recent platforms, maybe as a Switch port, then yeah, go for it. But for the time being, it isn't. So let's move on. Mega Man 2, the game that plenty claim as the best in the classic series, as well as the best-selling game in the entire series altogether, even to this day. Now, I'm not sure if I can say it's my favorite yet, as I have yet to play every game after this, but I will say that this is a fantastic game. Let's look at that intro, though. It's such a brilliant start to the game. It's absolutely stunning to look at. Okay, you're kind of ruining the spectacle. Yeah, that's a small problem with the Legacy Collection as a whole. If you don't hit the start button, that annoying note will be there until you do. Anyway, holy shit, there's a difficulty select! I mean, I didn't mind the tough challenge in the first game, but that's only because I used the rewind feature more than I should have. I used it a bit in this game, but I typically tried to ease off. And I did pick the normal difficulty, because I didn't feel like being beaten to a pulp this time. And we start with 8 Robot Masters this time, a number that is consistent to every game afterward. This game also introduces E-Tanks, which will restore your health to full. And while the last game had this little thing, which was useful enough, This game introduces 3 weapons with the worst names ever. Item 2? What happened to item 1? Oh, there it is. These are given to you after you beat specific levels. Why Dr. Light gives you in these specific stages, I couldn't tell you. Mobility-wise, Mega Man isn't really any different. He's certainly less slippery, and the weapons are a lot better than the first game, admittedly. The weapons in the first game were alright, but I only liked about half of them. For this game, though, the air shooter is good for airborne enemies, the quick boomerang, a successor to the rolling cutter, and a weapon that is basically a replacement to the pea shooter, the metal blade. You can aim in 8 directions, and you waste so little ammo, and since the health ammo distribution is much more balanced and the points were completely removed, seriously, who cares about those? This is basically your go-to weapon. Yes, go my Mega Man, use your buzzsaw powers to decapitate and splatter the guts of your opponents! I just turned Mega Man into a Mortal Kombat character. The bosses are a step up from the original as well, and some of them have more than one weakness too. Hell, Woodman technically has 3 weaknesses, though the Atomic Fire is the most effective. Did you know that Airman and Woodman are weak to each other? I mean, the Leaf Shield is more effective to Airman than the Air Cutter is to Woodman, but still. And did you also know that Metal Man is weak to his own weapon?
Holy shit, that was fast.
Yeah, he's probably the most pathetic Robot Master when you really think about it. Almost all the weaknesses make a bit of sense when you use your head or pay attention to their attack patterns. You can clog Airman's fan with leaves, you can douse fire with water, so Bubblehead makes perfect sense for Heatman, and Crashman likes to jump to the sky and crash to the ground, so Air Shooter is your way to go. Some admittedly don't make a lot of sense, like why is Metal Man weak to Quick Boomerang? And Flashman is also weak to Metal Blade. Yeah, I just don't get that one. But let's talk about the end bosses, because while they're a lot better than the original game, a couple of them are still a pain in the ass. Let's take this dragon for instance. It's no Yellow Devil, but holy shit, its weak point is so hard to hit. Oh, thank you, Quick Boomerang, you saved my life once again. Oh, and then you have this bullshit. This thing is weak to the Crash Bomber. You barely have enough energy to use the Crash Bomber. If you waste just one piece of ammo with it, you better use the rewind feature, or if you don't really like using that, you better start the entire game all over again. And then you got the final battle with Wily. No, not this fight, this is actually piss easy. But with the final fight you got, he turned into an alien that's only weak to bubbles? How in the... Oh, okay, that's kind of funny. But no, seriously, this fight only being weak to the bubble lead is just obnoxious. Like, there's no challenge to this. This is just frustrating. But that aside. Please forgive me, I'm a helpless old man. Okay. I feel like going on a year-long walk for no reason. Because I didn't capture Wily. For the 2nd time. I should have done something about him. There is a reason why people look at Mega Man 2 as the best in the series. Great level design, great Robot Masters, awesome weapons. The addition of E-Tanks and the difficulty select alone makes it a phenomenal game. Oh shit, I never talked about the music! That is a crime because the soundtrack is godlike. I love almost every track in this game. Airman's theme, Woodman's theme, Crashman's theme, Wily Castle 2. Holy shit, Wily Castle 2! A theme so famous that it has been remixed to hell and back. Just as much as Mario 1's overworld theme, Vampire Killer from Castlevania, and Zelda's overworld theme as well. Damn, it's so fantastic! So the game is great. How did they top this? They don't. Yeah, I'm not weighing on this one. I don't like Mega Man 3 all that much. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that it's the worst game in the trilogy. Even worse than the original. So why do I not like this game? Well, let's talk about that, shall we? Well, let's talk about the positives for a moment, because what the game introduces is what the game does best for the series. You got the introduction of Rush, Mega Man's robot dog companion, which is a great addition, giving you more defined item tools. Like the items in Mega Man 2, you need to defeat the corresponding Robot Master to obtain them. Except for item 1, I think this one you just get automatically. The other addition is Proto Man, which has the alias of Breakman in this game. You'll know soon enough. Fun fact, his name is actually Blues in Japan, because they need to make even more music references. And I wouldn't be surprised if Rush was named after the band of the same name. They are a rock band, and... Rockman? Yeah, whatever. Speaking of music, no surprise, it's great. It's not as good as Mega Man 2 in my opinion, but it's still a lot of fun regardless. Wish the rest of the game was like that. Okay, just gotta put the pessimism aside for a moment. And this game does have a bit of a story. Dr. Wily has claimed that he has been reformed as he helps Dr. Light build a peacekeeping robot named Gamma. I guess Mega Man's apathy made Wily understand the error of his ways. Do not underestimate the power of a blank stare. But then robots make a ruckus for some reason, and then there's the pessimism. So let me start with the level design. Yeah, it's garbage. Dickish enemy placement, annoying enemy designs and behaviors, lack of healing items, and the item distribution is just broken. Almost every enemy will give you jack shit or an item I don't need at the moment. Speaking of annoying enemies and energy, let's talk about the bosses. They are obnoxious. Many of them just jump around and spam their attacks. Some are way too fast to dodge, and Snake Man, for the love of hell, Snake Man! He just jumps around and he stands on the high platform so he can shoot his little search snakes. Or you can try to dodge him with this, but you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit a lot. Seriously, I hate this boss so much. At least the boss weaknesses make sense. Some of them, anyway. Magnet Missile is effective against Hardman since he is made entirely of pure metal. You can stop the top with Force, so you can use Hard Knuckle. And Spark Shot to Magnet Man just makes too much sense. Yeah, that's it. The rest don't make sense at all. Snake Man is weak to needles. Gemini Man is weak to snakes. Spark Man is weak to ninja stars. Definitely more vague this time around. Until we get to the Dock Robots. Okay, let me start by saying, I really like the idea of Dock Robot. The ability to fight against the Robot Masters from the previous game is pretty cool. And truth be told, the weaknesses here are a lot easier to figure out than the actual Robot Masters in this game. When I fought Airman, I immediately thought of a Thunderstorm with Spark Shock. Of course Metal Man is weak to Magnet Missile. Spark Shot and Shadow Blade are strong against Bubble Man, of course. And Windman is definitely weak to Needle Cannon and Short Snake. It really helps that all of them have two specific weaknesses, so if you can't figure it out, you don't have to shuffle between every weapon to figure it out. And while I praise the design of the bosses, fuck them. These are absolutely horrible boss fights. They are so fast and they're twice your size, and I always thought people complaining about Airman is dumb, but fighting this guy, I tried rewinding this part over and over until I realized it's impossible to dodge! Outside of the bosses though, the weapons are just not useful. The Magnet Missile, Search Snake, and Shadow Blade help deal with the annoying enemy placements, but the other weapons are just useless. The Spark Shot only stuns enemies, the Needle Cannon is just dumb. Hard Knuckle is way too slow in the startup, Gemini Laser leaves you open if you don't hit the target, and the Top Spin. Oh my bloody hell, who thought this was a good weapon? You need to be super close to the enemy to cause damage, but that leaves you wide open to contact damage. And the weapon usage feels so random. Why did that waste so much of my energy? And the best part is the final boss is weak to the Top Spin. Oh yeah, Wily was the bad guy all along. This fight would be almost impossible with the rewind feature. In fact, I used the rewind feature as much as the first two games combined. I was absolutely annoyed with the lack of health items and lack of energy pickups altogether, to the point of rapidly hitting the rewind feature to get at least a tiny pebble of health. And this is after going through Gemini Man stage, a stage perfect for farming lives, weapon energy, and health. I mean, it helped. Look at my life count just halfway through. My advice, do Snake Man first, and then go to Gemini Man just to ruin the Ocean's ecosystem. Because really, screw this game. But yeah, we beat Wily and Gamma's insta-kill spikes, peacekeeping robot my ass, sacrifice! Please spare me, I'm a helpless old man. Oh, hell no, we aren't. Oh, shit! Breakman arrives, then saves Mega Man from the collapsing building, leaving Wily to just lie there. Possibly dead. Yeah, no, he's alive. Dr. Light sees Mega Man fainted on the ground and sees that he's perfectly fine. Later on, he hears the whistle of Breakman, revealing that he is Proto Man, the first robot he ever made. So Proto Man left and basically hates Dr. Wily's guts. Why he does, apparently his energy core had a critical problem, and when Dr. Light was about to fix it, Proto Man refused and ran because he was worried his personality would change. Understandable, but...
I'll help you this time. But remember this, Light. I haven't forgiven you.
Dude, just calm down. He was just trying to help you, and you treat him like a freaking criminal. But hey, I guess that's your choice. Wait, you were working for Wily? What the hell is wrong with you? Anyway, yeah, Mega Man 3 is certainly the worst of the trilogy. The only things I can say that are great are the soundtrack and the light world building. Outside of that, I didn't like this one very much. When the easiest boss is Snake Man just walking around and taking you out with his body with no effort, that's what I call a not-so-great game. It does have some good level design here and there, and it has some good weapons, but that's not enough. I had more fun with the original, honestly. It hasn't aged very well, but I thought it had some good ideas. The Robot Masters were fun, and the levels were short and sweet. The second one is easily the best one of the trilogy, and the best so far. Hopefully the rest of the games are just as enjoyable.
But we'll talk about that next time when we talk about Mega Man 4, Mega Man 5, and Mega Man 6. I can't do that with one hand. You know what? There is one thing I didn't really talk about during this entire video. The box art. I'm pretty sure it's actually not too bad. I'm actually kind of curious.